What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live Thursday show with the garage. Let's see who we got. We got Joseph here. TJ's here already. Julio, what's going on? Dan, good to see you. Colin, 01M6SS, and Schmidt. Got a couple new faces. There's Kamar. Good to see you again. What's going on, everybody? What's new? Stay close to that mic. What, is my volume not loud enough? Yeah, you're right. It's not very loud, is it? Ooh. I swear, this has been... That should be good. What up, Arkansas, Matt? Hey, ICT. Yeah, you like that? You like that? Whoa, we got the Hulk over here. Everything's backwards. Black Panther. There's Cap. Some Spider-Man going on. What up, Andrew? Josh coming right out of the gate with questions. How often do you see actual tuners tune math and VVE on Gen 5? Very seldom. Very seldom, and I'll be honest, even when they do, the VVE needs touched up. Oh, thanks, Frank. Listen, Puppy's doing a lot better. She's got about another week of wearing the donut. We got the donut instead of the Elizabethan collar, but she's doing good. Yeah, seldom on Gen 3s, you'll see it a lot more. Gen 4s, there's not really an excuse. Especially if you're not boosted, so you could be running... one of the custom OSs that basically just turns into straight SD. 100-pound dog about. Yes, you're right, lazy. It's okay. So is so much more critical on 5th gen Global B stuff like that, and that's because of the torque situation. Yeah, you like that the donut on the puppy? If you guys aren't over on the Instagram. I put a pup picture up over there. Listen, I've been working on the LS3 for this will be the 3rd weekend in a row, and I've footage. Maybe 10 minutes of it is usable. Here's the goal for this weekend is to finish the LS3, finish the dang video so I can get posted. And get the big block out of the Camaro. I probably need to do a quick video on the Camaro and kind of show it off. That's the goal. It's snowing though. I turned the heater on in the garage today, so maybe it'll be warm this weekend. It's so miserable. So miserable. Oh yeah, Julio. Gen 3 is... It has its limitations, but overall it's such an easy platform. That's why I tell people, if you've got the opportunity to learn tuning on Gen 3, do it, because it really doesn't have a whole lot of crap in there that you need to ignore. What up, De La Soul? Well, yeah. That was such a funky issue, though. That was because of the port injection on there. So I had direct injection and port injection for people that weren't around 4 or 5 years ago. It's been forever. It's mind-blowing. Time flies when you're having fun or tuning, I guess. But back in the day, as far as I know, it was probably one of the first 5th gens that was running port and DI. I know a lot of guys, not a lot, a couple guys went over to port on the DI motors, like Doug from Motion Raceworks, which still runs that in his Nova, but he wasn't running both. And I was trying to do blended, and it created some issues that really ticked me off. That was around air mass, essentially, because air mass calculation is based off of your airflow measurements. But whenever you're running port injection on top of DI, you get to the point where your airflow calculation is totally wrong. And you have to do a lot TJ, I don't know who won the shifter. I'll find out this weekend and let you know. And what happens is I was getting into a weird situation where it was kind of like going into a reduced engine power. I was at the drag strip and it pissed me off. And so I got out of it and got back in it, which was a bad idea because then the port injection was sprained, but the DI was turned off. We ran a really lean with like, I think at that point in time, maybe 16 PSI boost on a stock motor. Yeah, it works. It just takes a little extra work. Do I personally use the math to tune the VVE in the background when tuning map? No, I do not do that, Chance. I don't like that approach for multiple reasons, and I've talked about it back in the day. I did some early stuff, and in fact, I think a lot of the posts that are out on the HP Tuners forums and stuff like that was based on the original math that I was using to populate the VE table, and I proved it would work, literally. Zeroed out the math or the VE table, populated data, and got it to work, but I just don't like that approach. And that's just kind of a me thing. I don't like necessarily trying to tune two things at once, because if you run into an issue, it's harder to figure out where the issue is. That's why even to this day, a lot of things I do in iterative steps to make sure that I still have a good feel, like it's doing what I want. Now, the inverse of that is if for some reason, like, I'll tell you this. So do your math, compare it to stock, see how much it shifted, and use that as a gauge. If you across the curve, if you average that out and you're at like 15-20% more fuel on the math, you're going to need at least that much on the VE. Go ahead and add that in. But yeah, VVE tuning is literally the most important thing, and it is the most skipped thing by the so-called tuners. Yeah, see you, Andrew. Sorry, brother. It's lazy. A lot of tuners want to get you in, get you out. Yeah, changing zone. And without getting real deep into the weeds, which is something as you work more with VVE, you'll start to understand the shapes of the table. Each zone has its own shape, and sometimes a shape doesn't want to jive, and adjusting the zones makes a big difference. I also like to create smaller zones. Create smaller zones in the lower RPMs and stuff like that, and make bigger zones up top where the math is maybe a little bit heavier up there. But I've ran into something very interesting recently on Global B specifically, and it's probably not really been talked about, but ProCharger, they're set up for these trucks. Hey, Mitch, for some reason, the mass airflow just is not happy. I'm tuning a one of the new 6.6s with a D1 SC. I think doesn't matter. That stuff, cams don't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter. Gotta remember, we're tuning an air, or we're making adjustments for an air pump. We add modifications to increase the amount of air. I don't really care what the modifications are on a vehicle. It's not going to change the approach to tuning. Granted, if we're going NA to boosted, yeah, I'll go in and make some adjustments for timing and stuff like that. Yeah, and the thing is I've looked at it, and in theory, at least as far as I know, it looks like it's in a good spot. It shouldn't be. It's not close to the throttle body. It's not near the bypass valve. Any of that stuff that normally that you might see, even to the point where I was like, double check, make sure it's not backwards. And that's not it. And it's so I've talked to a couple of other guys that have done Global B Pro Charger setups, and they say it is just kind of a Pro Charger setup, which really sucks because you guys spend more time in the neural network, which that necessarily isn't the issue. The issue is the neural network is even more obtuse than VVE as far as getting the correct shapes for all the cam positions. Not an issue on the Whipple. And so, whenever you're pulling it in as opposed to blowing it through the mass airflow, if anything, I would expect the mass airflow to max out. But technically it shouldn't. You're still moving around the same amount of air. It's just a weird situation. Evans, what is it called that? Evans Performance Academy or something? Yeah, Evans Performance Academy. I honestly have no thoughts on it. I don't know the guy. I've not looked into his course. I take that back. I may have taken some of his intro courses. I'm looking at it right now. He's got some interest. He's got some Motec and Link stuff on there. Max ECU. I like Max ECU. Subaru Evo X. Okay. So he's got some interesting platforms on there. Having some lockup issues in a 6L80 truck right now. Like what kind, Matt? I have a Gen 353 with Texas Speed, Stage 3 high lift truck cam, and stock 99 22.8 pound injectors. Do I need bigger injectors? Texas Speed says no. Heard yes and no from the HBT forum. Big Red, watch your duty cycle, man. If you're getting over 80% at max throttle, you've got an issue. Bad shutter while cruising locked up in 6th. But no shutter, like if you force it unlocked, you don't have that issue. Sounds like a bad torque converter. Yeah. Unfortunately, ICT car guy is kind of right on that. 6L80E step 1 is to replace torque converter. Joe, I don't watch professional football, so I don't even know how the Steelers did last season. I watch college ball. I'm from Oklahoma originally, so. New to tuning, thanks for your videos. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining the live show. Waiting on Wideband, as you should. Any information out there new guys should avoid or take with a grain of salt. Gen 5 Silverado. Depends on your mods, but the approach is still the same, Joe. It's still going to be, get your, work on getting your air fuel dialed in on both MAF and VVE. It's important. And then other than that, it's not as complicated as you see. I've had multiple tunes come in lately from other people that just have like 1,000 tables edited. You don't need to do that. There is no car that's running that crazy on a stock ECU that needs to mess with more than 100 tables. I only watch auto racing and soccer. I don't even watch. I watched half the season of college football, but Oklahoma State sucks so bad. Oh, sorry, Matt. Why are the commercials playing? I'll make sure that the commercials are off next week. Yeah, new torque converter, man. It could be something in the solenoid opening and closing, so you might drop the pan and replace the lockup solenoid. You should be getting a DTC from the transmission, though, if that would be the case. Thomas says to add ram pressure, fix shuttering in every gear. Yeah, that's a good point, because from the factory, they are so concerned about NVH, noise, vibration, and whatever, harshness, I guess. I got a haircut and yet I still got flyaways. That they really smooth things out. Hey, what's going on, Pat? You going to play tonight? Bob says there is a Sonics upgrade for the 6L trans for converter pressure regulators. Okay. Day of the Soul, I did get the Camaro. Yep. And so, as I said, I really haven't shown it off or anything yet. Well, Joe, I mean, I try to approach it in a way like of how I do it. You know? So, Barry, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining the live show. Silver Surfer and Matt, both, man. Cletus in NASCAR, man, that dude, he blows my mind. He blows my mind. He is impressive. ICT car guy, I do have some I already had some stuff hung on ICT billet, and then I've got stuff like the compressor to install with ICT billet. But I'm waiting. I ordered a anodizing kit so I could anodize it. So, oh, thanks B5. Man, that's the whole purpose of this. This channel, this live show, is to bring new people into the fold, to get them confident with, you know, tuning. And I want to do it in a way that, A, it's easier for you to digest. You can digest it in your own time, you know, stuff like that. But, B, I want to do it in a way that's fairly clear and easy to replicate. I'm trying to fix fuel pressure with a 320-liter-hour pump in a deadhead system. It takes 10 minutes to go from 75 down to 42. That's interesting. I wouldn't think that there'd be any kind of check on a 320. Big Red says, I zero slip on 6LAs. I've seen people say not to zero slip on stock converter. I don't know that zero slipping it is going to be an issue other than it's going to be rough shifting. And even then it's not that rough shifting. That's less critical on 6L80s than leaving torque management in place so it can pull the power appropriately for the shifts. Now, if you don't do that, you will kill a 6L80. Son-in-law is an engineer and develops vibration systems for GM. Sweet. What like 4 NVH for checking it? Dude, I ain't worried about commercial money from a live show, Matt, but thank you. Oh, it doesn't have a lockup solenoid you can change. Well, it shows you that I'm not a trans guy. What up, Cole? Yeah, well, that's what got me started B5, is that a lot of people didn't want to share their knowledge, and there's so much false knowledge on the HP Tuner forums that you had to spend a lot of time working through what worked and what didn't work, and I was just trying to cut some of that out. Yeah. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Ty. Got more coming, I promise you. Listen, Matt, all techs hate engineers. Whenever I was working on F-15s and F-16s, it was... engineers were the worst thing. Well, 15s weren't that bad because you could almost climb up inside an F-15 to work on them, but an F-16, they basically took the engine and just bolted all the crap around it, and so it's so tight. Good luck, Mike. You got this, brother. And if you need any help, just hit me up. Yeah, the torque management, and to be honest, you can dial it back a little bit, but if you dial it back too much, it will, you know, smoke some clutches. So you've got some kind of pressure regulator. It is bleeding on at 75. The pump has to go down to like 7 to 8% duty cycle with PWM control. That, and I'll be honest, Adrian, that shouldn't be a big issue, because anything that has PWM control, unless you're on aftermarket PWM control, has pressure on there. And so it's compensating for the fuel pressure delta across the fuel rail. Rob, welcome. First time viewer, new to tuning. Thanks for stopping by the live show. And thank you for watching. Prepping for first startup of a fairly built 6-liter LS with the 243, 252 duration cam. I'll tell you this right off the bat, take 20% out of your cranking fuel. That's my rule of thumb for dang near any cam. 22 CT4, do these have a neural network? Most likely if it's a 22. And it is absolutely critical to tune neural network. So, much like 5th gen stuff, which was technically global A, neural network is global B. That is part of your dynamic airflow. You can loosely do a math tune, but it is going to skew off a lot of other stuff that's processing down the line. Now, I will say, whenever it comes to adjusting neural networks, it's not even like VVE, where we might be shooting to try and get our corrections within, say, 5%. Like, if you can get it in within 10% plus or minus on neural network, you're doing good. Because that thing it does so much smoothing, reconfiguring. It's really good for a stock setup. But getting into modifications and stuff like that, it becomes more of a hassle, but it has to be done. Exactly, Mike. You're old hat at that. Just dropped my engine off the machine shop. Sweet. What kind of engine you running, Mitch? Hey, Grimace. Appreciate you, man. Always. 21-year-old master technician at Dodge. Hey, at least Dodge was nice enough to allow us to disable the neural network. So if you have a Dodge that runs on neural network and you replace the cam and go to a locked out cam, which I highly suggest you do if you do a cam, don't even go to a 4-degree phaser. Just lock it clean out, and then you can run those off SD. I love it. I'm sounding like max headroom. I don't know what's going on. Let me check. I mean, all my numbers look good. I may be clipping a little bit, getting my mic to the perfect level because I'm so animated. Let me, here, I'm going to go silent. Okay, maybe that'll help. I've removed it and added it back on. PNW, you got to soak it in, man. You don't like Daredevil? Is that better? Am I coming? Okay, good. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I've got so much I need to do in the office up here, cleaning and stuff like that. And my system, I updated it, so everything should be good there, but I'm looking at it and the colors aren't right, which sounds weird. Volume is a lot lower. Yeah. I'll get closer to the mic. Man, it is a lot lower. Why is that a thing? What? Hey, you can't be serious. What's going on? Yeah. No, I am electronically challenged. When it comes to electronics, I don't want to mess with. It's still super low. I'm looking at my levels over here. I'm bumping it. Oh, it is. Good call. Good call. Okay. Thank you, Adrian. Okay. Oh, that's way loud. Sorry. Sorry if you have earbuds in. Sorry about that. Okay. That should be better. That should be clear. Listen, it wouldn't be a Thursday night live show if we didn't have some kind of technical difficulties causing an issue. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I thought I turned it down as many notches as I turned it up, but I get it. I turned the volume down. Calm down, everybody. Let's see. I think I've got some memberships to give away. Let's give away some members. If you are not signed up for free memberships, you have to do it through the YouTube website. I'm not sure exactly how it works. Boop. But we'll give a couple away here. Chevy for Life. I don't even think Chevy for Life is here for once. I'll be honest with you. You can't be serious. I think it's only $2 a month or something like that. I suck at posting members only content, so don't feel obligated by any means. But that being said, yeah, go sign up for the membership. You'll get a green name and you get access to some of the members only emotes, which I need to update. I've got a goat doing a burnout though. Well, I'll tell you this much. Chevy for Life will probably be here next week. He's very always around. And he will be very surprised to see that he's a member now. No raffle this week, David. I gave some hats away, I don't know, two weeks ago or something like that. And found out that I was out of extra large hats. And so I placed a big order. Once they come in, and I get those hats sent out, since I'm notoriously bad about sending that stuff out, then I will start a new raffle and give away some hats. Oh, Joe, you didn't have to do that, brother. Thank you, though. Thank you. The Latin. Hey, man, been a bit of inspiration for me wanting to learn how to tune. Well, thank you for watching. Thanks for coming to the live show. I'm loving all the new faces on the live show. Yeah, Schmidt, they'll be flex fit. Still very new and learning. Any advice that you have not to get discouraged? Yeah, I'll tell you the same thing that I tell everybody. Small steps. Don't go in and make a whole bunch of, big changes. Do small steps. Go out. Run a log. Make sure that the change you made is reflected in the log. And if it isn't, stop, reassess, figure out why it's not, and go from there. And as long as I'll say this a million times over. You'll hear me say this about every live show. It's like eating an elephant. You just got to take it one bite at a time. What up, King Hated? Good to see you again. Just one bite at a time. Schmidt, it's been so long since I've actually sold one. I normally just give them all away. So, I would say stick around for a future live show, but I know you'll be here. Let's see. Thomas says, I'm trying to tune a Gen 4 LS. When I fail the math to do SD tuning, the truck won't stay running. Am I doing something wrong? So, not necessarily. Your SD table may just be, or your VVE table may just be that far off. One thing that I will tell you that I've seen, and it shouldn't be an issue if you've gone through math and it's fine, is it whenever you set that DTC for the P0103, which is the math fail high, that normally we lower that 14,500 down to, like 1 over whatever the low error is. So we set that DTC. That DTC has to be present. If you clear DTCs after setting that, the math comes back into play. But in your case, I don't know if you were here earlier, Thomas. I talked about do a compare to where your math is now versus stock and see how far off it is and kind of calculate the percentage, and if it's 20% higher I would say like an average or something, or just grab a section halfway through the math in there and figure out what the difference is, and then apply that to the SD table to get it kind of a baseline area of where it will run. Mitch C, leave knock sensors at factory location and valley cover, or is it okay to relocate? Now, I'll be honest with you, Mitch, I'm not an expert on the knock sensors, but the way they work, it should be perfectly fine as long as they are bolted to the block somewhere. And that's one of the reasons that they were not in the valley cover whenever they went over to Gen 4. You get more or better readings mounted to the side of the block where combustion is happening. Essentially, what the knock sensors are just frequency sensors, and they're looking for specific frequencies based on the bore. The bore determines the frequency, and that is, if something falls in that frequency, it thinks it's knock. Now, whenever you get into standalone tuning and stuff like that, that's more important. Mike asks, has anyone used AI for anything engine related? I tried to pick a camshaft for a Ford engine. It was interesting. No, but I have talked to people in the past that have used AI to ask tuning specific questions. I use it every once in a while specifically for looking up DTCs just generically as a quick way, because as I said, they are standardized. Well, most of the DTCs that you get are standardized. How many hours do you put into an average Gen 3 tune versus 4 versus 5? So I will say, like, instead of talking necessarily exactly about hours, because it all varies so much. Like, some Gen 3 tunes you can knock out in 10 revisions. And I'm talking math, VE, and Spark, everything that you really need to do. Some of them you can't. Now, you get into 4 and 5, it generally takes twice as much time to do a 4th or 5th gen. I would say that because of virtual volumetric efficiency. And honestly, that's one of those things, the more you learn and the more you work with VVE, the better you get at anticipating the changes that it's going to make whenever it calculates and how to deal with those and get the shape. And so and I've kind of changed the approach that I do on virtual volumetric efficiency, and I haven't talked about it much. I was a big proponent on zone by zone tuning, especially if you're getting started out. Set up individual graphs for your 26, 29 zones, however many zones there are. Yeah, I'll do a video on Arkansas Matt. Now I focus more on getting the overall shape, how I want it, and focus less on, or how the engine wants it. It's not how I want it. And I focus less on the error right off the bat. I get the overall shape where I want it, and I try to get it all one way or the other, preferably rich. But if I get the whole thing rich, it's a lot easier to shape the rest of it down where it's too rich than it is. It's, as I said, I'll do a video on it. That's an easy video. It'd be a good video. Rob, am I getting more Goat Road Garage decals? I need to. I will. And I need to check. I'm pretty sure I'm out, but Derek says, first time tuning my truck a few weeks ago, I was tuning on E38. Also, it changed math, text masks, min, temp art would go into limp mode, and also install TCS patches. What were you going in lymph nodes? What were you going in limp mode for? Do you remember? Was it the P0068, which is pretty common? Matt. TJ, are you still in here? Matt Feather's having an issue with virtual torque. Run the beta. I think it's an issue with the release version right now. I haven't ran the release version in 5 years. I always run the beta and I update at least once a month because the beta is updated sometimes multiple times a week, and there will be 20 or 30 betas released before it gets kicked over to a non-beta or the release version. So do that. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is in the Valley, I think it's kind of a terrible idea. It's better than nothing, but yeah, it's like that's not really in an area. Now, I will say that you're probably going to get less noise from exhaust issues. That's one thing that I see a lot of. Guys go over to exhaust. If the exhaust is touching anywhere, tons of false knock and a pain. Okay, Hoopty says it's 100% the release version glitch. Let me see if I can get a hold of somebody next week over at HB Tuners and get that sorted out, so the release version. But I'll be honest with you, just there's only one issue or one reason to run the release version right now, and it's not something that we're going to talk about here because it's emissions related. But if you know, you know. I can't remember offhand, but I had no thorough response. Yeah, well, and as I said, if it's the P0068, that code happens a lot. Disable that code parameters, you're good to go, which you probably already did. Oh, yeah, Mike's Garage brings up a great point. Whenever running the beta, re-download the ECM every time you update the beta, because there's specifically, like if you're on Global B, it's important because there might be new tables that you didn't previously have access to. In fact, I opened up a 2018 Escalade file the other day for a comparison that was pulled off a fairly old version of the editor, and there was 5 to 20, I would say, tables on each tab that was not present on the old version. Dude, Cole, listen, that's a good point. Cole said, if I don't think of my questions on Tuesday, forget them by Thursday. I have an email set up specifically for the live show. Yes, ICT Car Guy. It is live at GoRopeGarage.com. Literally, just live at GoRopeGarage.com. If you have an issue, if you run into something during the week, and you want to ask the question, shoot it over there. I check that email, and I'm not going to answer you on the email. There's no responses to your email, but I will read the question on the live show and answer the question on the live show if I can. So I forgot about, I got to keep on remembering. In fact, I probably need to update the description and all that stuff. But it's a great way to, if you run into something and it's not critical, do it. Is my voice going crazy again? Do it on the live. If you got an issue going on and you need help right away, jump over to the Patreon and join the Patreon and get the quick email access to send InTunes and log files and stuff. And I'll take a look at them and we'll get you sorted out. Exactly. Well, and that's it, man. Like, I'm the same way, Wendell. Like, I think of stuff and I forget it by the next day. And so I've tried to make it easy, just like, oh, man, I saw this or I ran into this. Zip an email to live@GoRopeGarage.com and we'll get to it and answer it. Listen, everybody, it's 8:31, so we're going to wrap up. We'll do another 4 minutes. We'll go to 8:35. So, great crowd tonight. I love all the new faces. Come back next Thursday. Last Thursday, the dog had surgery, so we didn't do it. But we've gotten on track. We've done 10 episodes. Well, we haven't done 10 episodes this year, but we have only missed one Thursday this year, I think. So, pretty good. Hey, man, pitchers and catchers already reported. Let's go. I would say go Pirates, but... And I am a Pirates fan, but they suck. Gen 3 drive-by-wire and Corvettes was the best course of action if you want to slow deceleration of the engine RPMs when returning to idle. You want to slow it. So is it overshooting PNW? So one thing is making sure your base idle airflow is correct, because that's kind of the ballpark. So, and you'll hear me talk about that a lot when it comes to idle on anything that's drive-by-wire. Base idle airflow, critical, easiest way. Dial your MAF in, bring it up to temp, let it idle, see how many pounds of air that you're flowing, and say you're targeting 800 RPMs. Go highlight the whole table, but watch the 800 RPM row and adjust it up until it hits there. Now, all of the other stuff, as far as the throttle cracker and follower and jazz like that, is works off that table. In most cases, that stuff does not have to be messed with. A lot of people mess with it. If the base idle airflow is right and timing looks good, those are the two things you want to check. Make sure that you're running, 15 degrees of timing or whatever down there. Yeah, you're good to go. JA, do I work much with Hemis? No. Even though I've got one down in the driveway, I've got content to do on the Hemis. It's taking a back seat right now. I will get to it this summer. But I will tell you that 90% of what works on GM will work on Hemis. Like, at the end of the day, the foundation does not change. We're still talking about air, fuel, spark, and how it's delivered and making adjustments. And, whenever we're doing tuning and stuff like that, we are correcting the error on the airflow side of it, because the fuel is kind of what we'd call, or what I like to call, like a, I'm drawing a blank. It's how you can tell I'm tired whenever I start drawing a blank. It's a constant. The fueling is a constant in the mathematical formula. The airflow is the variable. And that variable is what gets off. The air starts breathing more engine. Now, in theory, even though it doesn't work all the time, mass airflow, as long as nothing's changed on your intake, your mass airflow should work with no matter what mods you put on the motor, because it is measuring air. Now, speed density is where it gets interesting. It's where it gets interesting there. But, yeah. If it all worked, we wouldn't have to tune. But, yeah, we have to do some corrections, is what we're doing. Oh, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it, man. Listen, I don't do this for money. This is, and I will tell you guys, the air starts breathing more engine. Exactly, Bob. That's a great one. I will tell you that my channel in particular is a big losing proposition. I still work a day job. I will never be a full-time YouTuber because of it. Luckily, I make good money at my day job, and it allows me to do a lot of this stuff. And this does help, honestly. But I still am... Yeah, ICT Car Guy, you're right. Buy high and sell low. About everything that I've bought, I've bought high and sold low, unfortunately. But I do it more as a labor of love. I love being able to put the information out there, and I learn. I learn every single day, man. Every single day I learn something new. And so don't think that there's a way to learn everything. And on top of it, like, it's like Einstein said, never memorize something that you can look up. And so, like, as far as this knowledge goes, I like putting it out there, and it lives forever once it's out there. Now, sometimes we go back and we learn new ways of doing it, or better ways of doing it, and we update it and do new videos and stuff like that. But the fundamentals of it have not changed. Yeah, it literally is ICT Car Guy. It is a hot rodding motto. It's about doing more for less, and for the entrance fee for tuning is so minimal for doing it yourself. You're talking about buying a $200, $250 wideband and a $400 interface. You're going to pay more than that, at least that much, if not more than that, for one tune. And this gives you, this is the whole teach a man to fish crap. I'm teaching you guys how to fish. I'm not saying I'm tuning Jesus, as that would be blasphemy, but Well, so the problem with that, if you did ADHD meds, you would tune yourself into oblivion because you would be searching for that 1% or less error everywhere, and it's impossible. Listen, hey everybody, had a great time tonight. Thanks for all the new faces. Come back next Thursday. Everybody that's old hand, thank you for showing back up and spreading the knowledge. The cool thing about it is we've got dudes in here like TJ's talking right now. TJ's been around since the beginning. He's Thomas Johnson is probably, I will say, easily in the group of the 40 people that are in here. He is the oldest subscriber on this list. He's been here since the get-go, pretty much. Like probably whenever I had 1,000 subscribers would be my guess. And the cool stuff is that he shows up, and a lot of these other guys that show up that have great information, that have done some of this stuff and have seen stuff I've not even seen, or experienced new things. And so they bring in as much knowledge as I do in a lot of this stuff. Adrian, I don't poo. My body is 100% efficient. Kamar, very, very soon. Very soon. Like March. Well, today's 20. Yeah, March. We're going to be doing core stuff by March. Promise you. We're getting there. Okay, listen, guys. Love you guys. Thanks for stopping by the garage. You know the drill. ABT, always be tuning.